and hello everyone. My name is NURUL ASYIQIN binti SAHRULNIZAM. So today me and my group members are going to talk about logical implication. So I will start the presentation with the introduction of logical implication. What is an implication? Implication is basically a type of relationship between two statements. So if there is a statement which is if P then Q, you can write the statements in the form of P implies Q. Note that P is the hypothesis and Q is the conclusion. So this is the symbolic form and the tabular form for logical implication. For the next part, I will be talking about the rules of inference. So there are 7 rules of inference. The first rule is modus ponens. So when there are two premises and the first premise is P while the second premise is P implies Q, you take P as the conclusion. But you need to make sure that P for both premises must be at the front, and you take the conclusion for the second premise as the conclusion. The next one is law of syllogism. So if the first premise is P implies Q, while the second premise is Q implies R, you can cancel both Q, but you need to make sure that you start with the Q on the right. Therefore, you will get the conclusion, which is P implies R. The third rule of inference is modus tollens. When there are two premises which are P implies Q and not Q, therefore the conclusion that you will get is not P. You can get the conclusion by cancelling the same variable.
Assalamualaikum and hello, my name is SYAHIRAH binti AFIF NORAZAM. I will continue this presentation with the fourth rule, which is rule of conjunctive. We use this rule to combine the single premise. For example, we have two premises, P, Q. Therefore, we can get P and Q. Next is rule of conjunctive syllogism. Here we have two premises. First, P or Q. Second is not P. Therefore, the conclusion is Q. The next rule is rule of conjunctive simplification. We use this rule to choose statement or premise. For example, P and Q. So for the conclusion, we can choose either P or Q. Last but not least is about rule of disjunctive amplification. We use this rule to exit new premise and the symbol OR is used. For example, if we want to add Q into P, we need to write it as P or Q.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is AMIRAH binti RAZAK and I will explain question number 1. We include 3 questions for this topic. For the first question, consider the following argument. Iza will go to library to study implies that she does not have a class. If she does not have a class, then Mira will go shopping. Mira does not go shopping. Therefore, Iza will not go to library to study. Firstly, we write the output as P, Izzah will go to library, Q, she have a class, and R, Mira will go shopping. In tabular form, we write the first premise as P implies not Q. The second premise is not Q implies R. The third premise is not R, and the conclusion is not P. Next, to find the conclusion is not P, we use the first premise, which is P implies not Q, and second premise, which is not Q implies R, as the first and second step. Then, we use the law of the syllogism to remove the not Q, and we will get the implies. We will get P implies R. Write back the third premise, which is not R, and use modus tollens to remove the R, and finalize will get not P. So, the conclusion we will get is Iza will not go to library to study.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is AQILAH binti LATIF. Next, I will continue with the second question. Find the conclusion of the argument using the rule of inference. If Anna works all night on this course, then Anna can answer all the questions. Anna will either go to sleep early or work all night on this course. If Anna answers all questions, then Anna can get an A. Anna do not get an A. To solve this question, first we need to declare the primitive proposition using any symbol. I use P, Q, R, and S. P. Anna works all night on this course. Q, Ana answer all the question. R, Ana will go to sleep early. S, Ana can get an A. Next, we need to convert the given argument into symbolic form. If Ana works all night on this course, then Ana can answer all the question. The symbolic form is P implies Q. Ana will either go to sleep early or work all night on this course, so R or P. If Ana can answer all the question, then Ana can get an A, so Q implies S. Ana do not get an A, so not S. So we need to find the conclusion for these premises. And now we need to establish the validity of this argument as follows. First step, we insert the first premise, which is P implies Q, and then the second premise, which is Q implies S. Use law of syllogism and remove Q from both premises, then become P implies S. Insert another premise, which is not S. Remove both S from the third and fourth step using modus talent, then become not P. Insert another premise, which is R or P, for the sixth step. Using rule of disjunctive syllogism, remove P from the sixth and fifth step, then become R. So the conclusion is R. In the center form, the conclusion is Ana will go to sleep early.
Hi, I'm RAB'IATUL BINTI JABAR. Next, I will continue the last example, which is example 3. The question asks, demonstrate the validity of the argument. We can see that the question is quite direct and easy. The question gives the conclusion, so we need to prove the conclusion. So I will explain the solution. For step number 1, not P implies Q is a premise 1. Step number 2, Q implies S is premise number 2. Step number 3, we apply the premise number 1 and we combine premise number 1 and premise number 2 by using law of syllogism. And then we get not P implies S. For step number 4, we rewrite the premise, which is P implies R. For step number 5, we use the step number 4 and apply the contrapositive, and we get not P implies not R implies not P. For the last step is we combine step number 3 and number 5 and apply law of syllogism, and then we can get not R implies S. So we can prove the conclusion. So the final answer is not R implies S. The last step we get the conclusion, we get the same conclusion. Therefore, not R implies S.
Last but not least, logical implication is a type of relationship between two statements. The type of question that involves logical implication is a question where premise and conclusion are given, and we need to prove the validity of the argument. The second type is where an argument or statement is given, we need to declare the proposition using symbols, write them in the form of premise, and prove the validity using the rule of inference. And the last type of question is where we need to find the conclusion of the argument. That's all from us. Thank you.